Hi everyone, I'm Michael Baltimore, and we have a very special guest with us here in the studio here at Columbus State Television today. Now, as we talked about before, this week is Cybersecurity Week here at Columbus State University, and they have a lot of things going on to try to remind us to be safe and to be secure on that internet and all of the ways that we use all of this technology that we have with us today constantly in our lives. We have a very special guest today from the University System of Georgia, Dr. StanGatewood. Stan, welcome to the show today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here again. I see great strides and great improvement, and I'm just happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you here too today. Now, if folks have seen our television channel over the years, you might remember our first interview almost 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
We were talking about how things work on the internet and how we keep ourselves secure. Now you're back again, and I got a feeling there's more to talk about this time around. So I'm really glad you're here. So first of all, it has been 2 years. Let's start with introductions just a little bit. Tell us a little bit about you,
Okay.
your background, and what you do.
Stan Gatewood from the University System of Georgia. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer as well as E-Privacy Officer. I handle such things as cybersecurity, also privacy for the 31 institutions, also for the Shared Service Center as well as the Georgia Public Libraries. It's a long journey. Security is a journey. It's definitely not a destination in that we strive to become secure. And a never a dull day.
No, and it's always moving, isn't it? Because there's more and more ways that we can lose that security, and some of these hackers and criminals and all these types are out to kind of get money out of our bank accounts.
That's
and
right.
Try to steal our identities and all of those kind of crazy things. And now, and we'll talk about all of these as we go through this morning, but the notion that it's widespread technology is a part of our everyday life. We're always connected. We have those mobile devices, our smartphones, and all of those things are with us all the time. We're always connected, and that opens up a lot of potential spots for that criminal and those types to kind of come in and do some bad things for us. All right, so let's talk about cyber issues. And you're with the University System of Georgia. That's all of our colleges and universities in that system for the state. And tell us a little bit about what are the major issues that we're kind of facing today. Let's hit the top three maybe.
Well, I think the top three issues as far as cybersecurity is concerned are such things as we input data, we grab data, we take data from parents, we have application data, we have patient data, we have medical data, we have research data, all that different data, we actually have to process it. Mm-hmm. So day to day, we handle this information, we touch this information, we see this information. And it is up to us to keep that information safe and secure and protected. The students come to us with their information concerning the classes they're taking, their date of birth, their social security numbers, their credit card information, and all of that good stuff.
Oh,
so that must be, security must be maintained. That is to say, the confidentiality, the integrity, and availability of information.
Yeah, because I would assume that students and family just take this for granted, that the institution is taking in all of this information, social security card numbers, and all of this valuable information, credit card, etc., and they expect the university system
Absolutely.
to keep them secure and safe.
Absolutely.
And it's just amazing. You know, one of the thoughts I had as we were preparing for this show is that we all have this digital footprint now. Someone was talking the other day about the notion that almost everything that we do, mm-hmm. Whether it's going to the store to make a purchase and sliding the card through a reader, going to the doctors you mentioned a moment ago, all of those kinds of things, health records, everything has this digital footprint. And you could actually, you could look at a person without any other information, just that digital footprint of how they spent their money, where they go, how they spend their leisure time,
Absolutely.
where they study, where they went to school, and all of that.
From cradle to grave.
Amazing amount when you really stop and think about it. I don't know if we always stop and think about these things, but it's important to do it. So the university system, first of all, has to protect that data for students and the families coming in.
Absolutely, because the parents, the citizens, And anyone that has any business or any interaction with the university system, they trust us.
Yes.
They trust that their information is being, the confidentiality information, integrity as well as availability.
Right, right. And so you must have a big system to oversee. I mean, that is a lot because you have how many universities?
31.
They have 31 now in the system. So each one of those in the communities around the state have
Yes.
that same
Yes.
type of security and expectation of security there. So what else? What are some of the others, the issues for us out there that the USG is interested in?
Well, we have such a massive amount of data. We move that data around as well.
Oh,
So
yes.
big data, that's what we call it, is big data.
Big data. All
We
right.
don't move a single thumb drive worth of information or a kilobyte of information. We move in excess of terabytes and petabytes of information, which is massive. That's the measurement of data, if you will, the size of the data. We have to move it from our institution to other institutions, and sometimes we need to move it outside of the university system to exchange it with the federal government or exchange it with some of our trusted providers for services.
Right, right. So just the volume of this, there must be some massive storage somewhere. Do
Well-
we have a warehouse like on Raiders of the Lost Ark, you know, that just goes on and on with just our data in there? Or is that,
I'm glad you brought that up, as a matter of fact, because that is another issue as well. That massive data, that big data, must be stored in what we call the cloud.
right,
That's
Right.
that's one of the big buzzwords today is the cloud services, cloud storage, cloud applications.
somebody
and things
said
like
the
that.
other day it probably rains in the cloud every once in a while. We might have a thunderstorm in the cloud.
Every
so that
day.
might be a problem,
Every-
that idea.
Every single day. So we have to take this massive amount of data and put it in the cloud and protect it. There are 3 points or 3 places we want to protect data when we're dealing with the cloud. On the way into the cloud,
Right,
while it's in the cloud, and when it comes home or when it comes out of the cloud. So we must maintain, again, the overall confidentiality and privacy of the information, as well as the integrity of the information. It's good to know that when you send data in a certain state or certain form, you're going to get that back again.
right.
So we have to
Absolutely.
have these trusted relationships with our vendors, trusted relationships with our service providers that will get the information back, and it is maintained while it's in there.
Right, and you have to have backups, obviously, or maybe
Absolutely.
multiple backups in multiple modes there for those kind of things. So I'm just wondering, I know in our television studio here, our video files are very large. When we record a show like this, for example, it's in the gigabytes, and you must run out, or you must get close. You have to monitor and then go to your vendors and say, hey, we need more storage and
Yes.
and that kind of thing. I say,
Well,
right?
one of the beautiful things about the cloud is that it's almost elastic. And what I mean by that is if we find out that we're running dangerously close up against our limitations or our threshold, we can get on the phone. We'll either call our own IT resources,
Right.
or we'll get on the phone to our service provider and say we need to have much more storage, or we need to talk to you about archiving. We need to talk to you about deleting the files or destroying the files or what have you, so we can
Right.
get more space.
Right.
So one of the most beautiful things about the cloud is its elasticity.
Right. How long do we keep files? I mean, if a student went to school, I mean, they're probably in the day before computers, if you look at the university
Yes.
system, we've been here a long
Yes.
time now. But so there's all of that sort of analog data. And how long do you just keep records? Is there a specific time
Yes.
that is there? So
Oh,
what's that?
there is, and information, of course, can be classified.
Right.
And what I mean by that is a type of information. For instance, business records, records that have to do with finance, with budget, and things like that. We keep the longest period of time. Anything that has to do with a record for how something was transacted or how we did business and things like that, we keep it for the longest time. And that's all governed and taken care of by our state archives.
Okay.
We have policies, we have standards, we have guidelines in place for that.
Okay.
There's other information that's transient information or transitory information. For instance, it's just you and I communicating with each other via email. Don't forget to bring the pumpkin pie to the Halloween party tonight. I'll send
Right.
you an email that.
Right.
We don't need to keep that for 7
Okay, there
years
you
or
go.
10
Yeah,
years.
all right.
We'll
So-
get rid of that. But you're right. Everything is backed up. And sometimes we back up the backups. So we do have to have that elasticity. We also have to have policy standards and guidelines in place to tell us that you will retain this information for this period of time. Anything else you can get rid of or move on or what have you.
Right.
And that's all governed by state law, by regulations, and in some cases, federal law as well.
Oh, okay. So you have to be aware of all of those
That's
entities out there that have guidelines, maybe even conflicting standards. Sometimes you have to
Yes.
make a choice about those kind of things. Well, it's good to know that things are backed up, because as I've learned over my career in technology, things can go wrong.
Yes.
Computers hard drives can stop.
Yes.
It turns out that somebody said the other day, it's not if your hard drive is going to go down, it's when.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm always curious about those kind of things. All right, that's really good. Now let's move to just some of the initiatives that you are looking at as the Chief Information Security Officer here at USG. So where are we moving? What's on the front burner for cybersecurity and initiatives that you have?
Okay, we always try our best to stay on the microphone. What I mean by that is we try our best to stay in front of people and let them know that your data, your information is a target. Your data and your information is important to us, and it has a value on the street, so to speak. So we try to stay in front of folks with awareness, training, and education at all times. So we're always deploying and creating awareness, training, education for the masses, whether it be student, faculty, or staff, or even some of our contractors. So that's one of our big initiatives.
Okay,
Another
good.
thing is we're very, very concerned about the endpoints. That's where the data is.
Right.
Endpoints can be anything from our iPads to our slates, our mobile devices, our smart devices, our laptops, our desktops, our servers, etc. Those are all endpoints, and we're very concerned about them because that's where the data actually resides. What I mean by that is that's where it's actually stored. So we need to put in place, and we are putting in place through an initiative, securing the endpoint.
Okay.
And securing the endpoint, we want to make sure we have antivirus, we want to make sure we have anti-malware, we want to make sure that encryption's in place. So if our hard drives or if our laptops or our mobile devices are lost, misplaced, or stolen, then all the person gets that perhaps is doing this maliciously, all they'll get is an encrypted hard drive, which means absolutely nothing to them. They don't have the key to get in. So it's just a brick, if you will.
Right.
Okay.
Right. All right.
So those are two very, very important initiatives that we're dealing with, and also we want to stay in compliance with the federal laws for protecting our credit card information, protecting our Social Security numbers, which is sensitive information.
Yes.
You let that get in the wrong hands, it really can destroy a person's life and hold them up for years as far as employment or mortgages or loans or rent or even getting a job.
Oh, absolutely. We were talking, this week is Cybersecurity Week, and we were talking with some of our friends from the GBI who came in the television studio, and they mentioned identity theft, and they mentioned how if you put something, like we were talking to the college students at that particular moment, but we're talking about putting those pictures on when you're younger that may not help you as you get older and apply for jobs, because an employer may very well go back and look at that Facebook and that account and just see what you've got, and it may not help you. So, and also that if you put a picture up with one of those programs that promises only to put it up for just a few moments and take it down in seconds, it's still there. Somebody has that information on you, so you've got to be aware
Absolutely.
of these kinds of things.
Absolutely. You've got to think of it this way. If you put it out on the internet, it'll probably be out there forever.
Wow. I mean,
And it very well may be stored somewhere that is way off into the deep recesses of the internet itself. The internet is massive. And it may not be something that is mainstream at the time.
Right.
But you've got to know that if you put something out there, it is going to stay out there probably for the rest of your life. And you're right. Nowadays, employers, prospective employers will come along and look at your Facebook comments and your pictures and how you friended and things like that.
Right.
They look at your Twitter comments, and they look at everything from LinkedIn. They want to find out what were your jobs, what have you done, and what have you said. And well, quite frankly, you've got to be very pinpoint when it comes to making comments and quotes and saying some things, because like you said, later on down the road, it may come back and bite you.
Well, it's particularly important for young folks to remember that and do this, because they're our most the technology that they have, and they're invasive in their lives in every moment, and they're tweeting, and they think they're sending it to the friends, but it's actually stored somewhere as well, and it could come back to cause a problem.
Absolutely.
So,
One day someone may come along and say, well, what did you mean by this back in 2013? And of course you're running for Congress at the time or whatever.
Right, that one
and it's
comment
like,
that you
I was in high school, please give me a break.
That's right, that's right. But it's still there on the
Yes.
internet. And so that's kind of interesting. So you, as part of the USG cyber initiatives, you have to keep up with the laws, you have to keep up with the latest technologies,
Yes.
and also probably what the bad guys are doing
Yes.
out there. So the latest kinds of malware and attempts to get in. I know we've all had some problems with this, I would think. I mean, maybe there's that one person out there that has never had any kind of problem with the internet and things come back, but you know, you can go to a website now, and if it's the wrong website and maybe you accidentally went there, and when you come back, all of a sudden there's something on your computer
Yes.
that slows it down, and you're wondering what's going on, and
Yes.
how could they possibly, just visiting a website, cause an infection on your computer? It's amazing to me.
Oh, definitely. Just visiting the website. Remember, when you visit a website, you're actually bringing something back to your screen, back to your computer, whether it be a picture, whether it be sound, whether it be a movie, whether it be just text. Something is executing in the background on your computer that you bought from that machine that very well may not be trusted.
Right.
And so once it gets there you are. And
There you are.
nowadays, a lot of folks they don't really have to do that kind of thing, and that all they'll do is send you email.
Right.
And because we are very reactionary, and because we're social beings, we'll click on that link, and the next thing you know, you've not only found that I went off to, I don't know, the Gulf of Mexico and did my fishing or whatever, and now you've clicked on the picture that also had a payload with it that's downloading
behind
some sort of malicious software onto your machine.
That's
And once
scary
it's
right
there, it's there, and like a virus, truly, the word, true to the sense of the word, it actually replicates, meaning you then can or have the capability of infecting others.
So it can grab your contact list or your email list,
Yes.
and all of a sudden it can send that out
Yes.
again with your name on it.
Yes.
So then the person trusts you and opens up that
That's it.
file, and then that, as you said, payload behind
Yes.
the picture. Okay.
Oh,
that's-
yes.
That's a very interesting
yes.
notion right there. A little bit scary. We've got to be more aware of these kinds of things, for
Well-
sure. Now, we were talking before the show about the IT handbook, and
Yes.
there are some sections in there. So tell us a little bit about that. We talked about 5, 6, and 10.
That is
maybe?
correct.
All right.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about this handbook you have.
We must have policy, standards, and guidelines in place. If you don't have those things, then there can be no, I can't hold you accountable whatsoever, because you'll be able to say, I didn't tell you this, or you'll say, I didn't know this, or what have you. So we must have policy, standards, and guidelines. The IT and security policy, standard, and guideline book for the entire university system is called the IT handbook.
Okay.
Specifically, sections 5, 6, and 7. Section 5 is security. Section 6 is privacy.
Okay.
And section 10 is data management.
All right.
How do you manage data? How do you input data? How do you process data? How do you output data? How do you share data and secure data and all those things? And of course, security deals with everything, everyday things like identity theft, risk management, backups and recoveries, and all those different things. And privacy is very important to us as well, because our information needs to remain private. People need to trust us and know that we are doing everything we possibly can to maintain the privacy of their information. It's not leaked out there and then some sort of identity theft takes place.
Right. So those guidelines are in place. Now, I was just thinking, I just had the thought of the university system has worked very hard, and I know you've worked very hard to put these good policies in place that protect our confidentiality, our security, our data, and to keep it up. Maybe as individuals, we need to adopt some of those. All right, so did I hit on your point?
Right,
there?
perfect.
But it seems like we could learn a lesson from what the system is doing in our own little world, because I can tell you now that I know our crew out here, if we went to their house, they have a wireless network. They have all kinds of devices going on all the time. Some have even cut their cable, and they are now using the internet.
I love it.
Sources. All right, there you go. And that's very interesting. But we need to take a look at what you are saying at that level,
Yes.
and maybe kind of bring that back down to what we do in our homes,
Absolutely.
and in our day-to-day activities.
And I thank you for saying that, because myself and my team, we're just we're a finite number of individuals that are security professionals. We couldn't possibly secure 31 institutions and all of the student faculty and staff. So we need everyone to become aware, to open your eyes, be much more responsible, share the responsibility with the individuals out there. And also when you leave your job, as you said, when you go home, be much more aware that these things can take place. Protect your information. Protect your family's information. Protect your loved ones' information.
It just seems that there are a lot of people out there trying to get at us, get
Yes.
that banking information, the credit card information, identity. I mean, it's a widespread problem, is it not?
Absolutely, and here's why. I mean, here's why. When the great bank robber of years gone by, when asked the question, "Why do you rob banks?" What did he say? Because that's where the money is. Nowadays, the money is on the internet, in that the data is money. It's tied to money, or can be sold, or can be maliciously used. For instance, if I grab some information off of the internet about you, I'll crawl the internet. I'll go into Facebook, I'll go into Twitter, I'll go into LinkedIn and all that, and grab some information, and maybe visit a few public data repositories as well to grab your marriage information and maybe some tax records and so on and so forth. I literally can build an individual. And what I mean by that is I can create an individual. I'm not saying create them from scratch because they're already created, but however, I have enough information that now I can go forward and open up credit, close credit, move things around, apply for this or apply for that, and things like that. And there's plenty of people out there that are doing that are misusing the information and taking advantage of folks and stealing their identity and things. It's big business. As a matter of fact, identity theft. Identity theft is in the billions of dollar range as far as the amount of money that is stolen and the amount of money and time it takes to recover from such a thing. So I hear a lot of folks when I teach and preach about this that, well, they can steal my identity, they can steal my credit. Please let them have it. I'll teach them. Let them have my bad or poor credit.
Right.
It can get worse.
It can get worse.
It can get much worse. And if, for instance, if someone steals your driver's license, or someone steals your identity and creates another driver's license and commits a crime.
Right.
Now, the next time that something happens, they stop you. The police stop you, pull you over, pull it out, and say, well, I've got a warrant for your arrest.
Okay, there you go.
You've been writing bad checks,
my.
or you've stolen money, or you're a
right.
cyber thief, or what have you. That wasn't you, but it was someone that gathered your information and built this individual and did something malicious.
Wow, it's a big crime, isn't it? I mean,
Big.
It really is.
It's in the billion-dollar range.
So we have to be very, very careful on
Yes.
our individual level to make sure that what we're doing is secure. We cannot take it for granted anymore, and we also have to check regularly all those accounts that we check, our bank accounts online, we check other credit cards and other kinds of data that we have. We have to check that, because if we just say, okay, it's all secure, you come back there and find out all your money is gone, or somebody's gotten your identity, or you get something happen like you just gave your example.
Check your credit regularly.
Yes.
Run a credit report, not just a credit rating,
Okay.
but the credit report. Credit ratings it's good to know.
Right.
That's the numerical value that's been
number of
placed
them,
on you
yes.
by TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, and so on and so forth. But the actual credit report, which will let you know what is open, what is closed, what is attempted to be opened, what was denied or declined, and all that good stuff.
Okay.
You need to have that. And as a Georgia citizen, it's free, 2 per year. As a U.S. citizen, it's free, 2 per year.
Wow.
So that's 4 times. So that's 4 times in the year. You should be at least doing it at that.
All right, that's good to know, and I appreciate you letting us know about that. Well, some of our viewers have noticed that on our set here, we have some Halloween pumpkins. We actually, if you don't know what that is, it's label pumpkin right there. One of our crew members out there did that for us. But we're coming up on the holidays. All right, a lot of holiday shopping, and it seems to me that, and you can tell me about this, but the amount of online shopping now is outweighing just the physical shopping.
That is correct.
That's correct?
That is the truth. In that a lot of folks now, they shop online because they just have to sit at their computer at home or in a hotel or Starbucks or McDonald's or at the library or whatever and order I know that I know a lot of men think that this is actually the Christmas shopping can be done in the stroke of a keystroke in the blink of an eye, and that's the truth.
I'm one of those.
There
right?
you go.
Just hit the button and I got
There
that
you
taken
go.
care of, and I'm good. I don't have to go to the mall.
That's
which
right.
Sounds horrible. But
That's
for
right.
me, by the way, anyway.
But it's that kind of thing. That
Yeah.
and so
It's
so
convenient. It's easy.
you're being driven that way. You're being driven to online. You have great selection. You have speed and accuracy. You have good pricing online because, of course, you don't have the big store overhead and things like that.
Right.
Or you can order it and go pick it up from your local
That's right.
retail store and things. So the bottom line is now you're online. Now you're giving personal information. Now you're giving sensitive personal information, such as your full name, your address, your credit card information, your bank account information, and things like that. So where does that go? Well, it's stored on that computer that you're sitting at, I can tell you that.
Okay.
If you're on a wireless network like Starbucks or whatever, it's probably going across the airways. Someone's in Starbucks waiting to grab that out of the air. Also, the information is on the other end at the retail, where they process your order. They send you the order, send your order from, and things like that. So you've got to be very vigilant and diligent when it comes to online
There's
shopping.
just a lot of vulnerability. If you're sitting at Starbucks and this guy across the way who's got this program to detect what's on your computer, and if it's vulnerable, he can just kind of go
Absolutely.
in and while you're sitting having coffee.
Yes,
right?
yes,
Okay.
and that's a white chocolate mocha,
Right.
extra, extra hot,
That's right.
low-fat milk.
That's what I'm talking about.
But the bottom line is, yes, they can sit there right in Starbucks and scan the airwaves,
Right.
scan the network of which you all are sharing at
Right.
the time, and gather information, or connect to your computer, as you said,
Right.
and scan it, looking for vulnerabilities, looking for credit card information, and so on.
And if there's a person at that company who just got employed and is coming in to get that too, and they have access to that information, you're in trouble there.
Absolutely.
So we do trust a lot.
We do.
Trust
We
these
do.
companies. How do I know that this company? I mean, I see VeriSign and I see some other things on there. It's got a HTTPS on
Exactly.
there.
I
All of those
remember
kind
that,
of things.
yes.
Yeah, that's right. So does that mean I'm safe with these things?
That means that you're safer.
Okay.
Are you totally safe or 100% safe? Security professionals will tell you this. There's no such thing as 100% security. It just doesn't happen. The most secure your information will ever be is if I disconnect it from the internet altogether, disconnect it from power, set it inside some cement, and drop it in the bottom of the ocean.
You know, I'm going to keep that in mind because I might want to go down that road with some things I have here. But back to holiday shopping online,
Yes.
what advice would you give our viewers
Yes.
about just being, a little safer about this? We can't be 100%. How close can we get, though?
Yeah.
And how do we protect ourselves?
Well, again, going back to some of the technology you spoke about, the HTTPS, that's Hypertext Transfer or Transport Protocol, with the S at the end means secure, using secure socketing and things like that, meaning that the information that you're about to send or receive is going across an encrypted channel. Okay. Encrypted channel meaning that it's all gobbledygook or ciphertext, if you want to call it that, and so therefore not visible or readable by the human eye. Okay. That's good. That's a good way to go.
That's a good start then.
Also, I'd like to make sure that the company that I'm doing business with is reputable, meaning they didn't just get there last night.
Right.
Do they have a Better Business Bureau seal?
Okay.
Has anybody else shopped with them? What is their privacy policies? What is their return policies? What is their identity theft policies and things like that? Read them online. Make sure they are reputable. And please, whatever you do, make sure that if someone calls you around dinner time and decides to, I don't know, fix your roof for $50,
Right. Okay.
you need to be a little suspicious of that
Right.
kind of
Let's
thing.
be smarter about these
and
things.
check
right.
these and check these folks out. If it's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true.
And somebody was in the crew the other day was talking about phishing with PH, by the way.
Yes.
The phishing emails that you get saying wonderful things you can get for a low price.
Yes.
Or in one case, the famous Nigerian prince.
Absolutely.
Email. By the
I have many relatives. They write me at least 2 times a week.
Okay.
And,
Yes.
and if I could just give them $5,000, they'll let me have $50,000 or $100,000 or
Wow,
$1 million.
that sounds really good.
Doesn't it sound great?
Should I do that? Maybe.
No.
No. Okay. That's good. Maybe I shouldn't do that. All
No,
right.
no.
None of those get rich schemes seem to work very well.
And they definitely don't work on the internet.
All right, that's good. All right, we were talking earlier about smart devices. We all have this device. I mean, if you come on this campus here at Columbus State University and you just watch our students and just walk on the pathways to various buildings, and they're focused down on some device in their hand. I'm not sure they're looking up. They probably need to look up a little more, but they're focused down on this device and they're playing with it, and you see them everywhere. They may have a tablet, may have a smart. These smart devices are on a network.
Yes.
All right, tell us a little bit about your thoughts on all of these devices. We all have them. Sometimes, well, I know Omo over here who's running this show actually has 2 or maybe 3 with him at all times. So I'm wondering about this a little bit.
Well, the bottom line about it is they're not just telephones anymore. That's what I want to get across to everybody.
Okay.
They're not just telephones anymore where you can send and receive calls.
Right.
These are, for all intents and purposes, these are mini microcomputers.
Right.
And they call them smart devices for a reason, because you can input, you can store, you can surf, you can listen to music, you can communicate, videos, you name it, you can do it on these devices. And when I said store, I mean to say when you input things in the device, it will store it and hang on to it. So if you lose it, oh my goodness, you've lost everything that you've put in there, to include your credit card information. And don't forget, you also use that device to pay bills. You interact with your bank, so on and so forth. So they call them smart devices for a reason. They are very smart, but you need to be much more smarter than they, and be very conscious about and judicious about how you actually use it. Be very safe in how you use it. Make sure that you're communicating across secure channels. Make sure that you have a username and password. Make sure that the hard drive is encrypted. All of these things will help lower the risk and the threat.
Okay.
Will it ever get rid of it? No.
No.
However, it will lower it. And that's really what it's all about. That's what you really are trying to do, is to lower it. Get rid of it? That's somewhere off into Shangri-La. That's not going to happen.
Right, those devices. Now, I know there's some of us that have an iPhone, and they just come out with the thumbprint on the very latest. What do you think about that? Is that a good, secure way to protect your phone?
It's one. It's just one way.
Right.
These are what you call defense in depth, or layered defenses. And what that means essentially is, up until this point, so many people have just used username and password.
Right.
You need something else. So it's not just something you know, but and when you start using thumbprint and retina scanning and things like that, that's something you are. So you come to the device with something you know, username and password, and something you are, your thumb or your retina scanning. That then gives you a higher degree of confidence that it's a much more secure device. Given time, if someone really wants your information, even thumbprint won't stop them.
Wow.
Now, I know that sounds very, I don't know, I guess negative in a way, or woe is me type of thing. But the bottom line about it is a person that is bent on getting into your device, if they really want it that bad, they will get in eventually.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, yeah, a friend of mine had once said, when we were answering questions about secure video over and doing counseling online and how safe that is, and there were a lot of people saying, no, it's horrible, don't do this, don't do this. And then he brought up the point, well, if your records are stored in a locked cabinet, in a locked office, in a locked building, I can get a crowbar and go in there and get that information at once. So there's nothing 100% safe.
Low tech.
That's right.
Use the low tech. Let's knock the door in and go that way. But there are ways of actually securing these things. I mean, we have vendors and entire industries around how to secure these things, and essentially what you need to do is build the layers of defense. Right. The username and password, the encryption, the thumbprint, all of those are just layers. And so what you're doing essentially is you're letting the person know that is or would be the thief. You're letting them know that it is way too expensive for you to stop here. It is way too expensive for you to actually try to break in, because by the time the days, the weeks, the months, and the years go by, that data that you're trying to get at is no good. It's not fresh anymore, or it doesn't have any value. Right. So that's what you really want. And that comes from the physical world, the physical security world, and that, for instance, if you were a thief walking down the street and you saw a car that had a convertible top and the CDs are on the front seat, and nothing else, well, that's easy pickings. Right. But if you go down a little bit further and you see a beautiful truck that's got a low jack, that's got a burglar alarm because the lights are flashing on it, guess what? I'm going for the easy,
That's right.
low-hanging
So
fruit today, so I'm going for the convertible.
Absolutely. So if they hit a couple of roadblocks there, they see some signs that you have some security going, they're going to go for the easy picking.
That's right.
And the easiest
That's
thing
right.
to get. So that
That's
makes
right.
sense. That totally makes sense to me. Well, this has all been very, very helpful. Let's talk a little bit as we end today on internet convergence.
Ah,
Now,
yes.
First of all, what is that? So help us understand what that means.
Okay. Have you seen your cable or satellite or internet or telephone bill lately?
Oh, yes, I have, and I'm not really happy with those bills, by the way, I might say. This is too much money for a telephone. Don't get me started. So, yes.
So let me wrap the whole definition of internet convergence around that. We are going to, if I said to you, I have a way of actually getting rid of your landline and the cost for that landline, your long distance, your satellite bill, your cable bill, your movie bill, your internet access so you can do www and do that shopping online and things like
Right.
that. If I could narrow that down to half, if not even less, just by doing one thing, and that is cutting the cable,
Right.
cutting the satellite, cutting the telephone, cutting the internet and all of that, and bringing in a very strong internet presence, a very strong internet line, and you run everything across that, your telephone, your movies, your internet access, all of that, off of that, and cut that price down. That's what you call internet convergence. Everybody's going to that now.
I like it. Sounds like it. I mean, the cable companies may not be happy about this too much, but look, it's extreme amounts that we're paying for
Yes.
this access and to watch. You know, you've got 600 channels, and how many are you actually
Thank you.
watching?
Thank
By the
you.
way, so by the way, we could put a plug in for the Roku box. Columbus State Television is now on the Roku at csu.tv, so take a look at that. But yeah, I totally understand that. So how do we go about it? So we should go out and look at all those bills and what it's
Yes.
costing us for phone and television and internet
Yes.
and so.
And make sure that you get a strong internet service provider. That's the key.
Okay.
That's the key. When I say strong, I mean to say that it is reliable,
Right.
it is scalable, it's up 99.999% of the time,
Okay.
and of course the price is low there. Then you go out and get yourself a voice over IP phone.
Okay. I know the university's moved to that as well, right?
Then you go out and get yourself a Roku box,
Okay.
which brings in your Netflix, brings in your YouTube, brings in your Redbox, brings in your Hulu, which are all providers or streaming providers of movies and content. And then you're already on the internet, so you can do your browsing and surfing and all that good stuff. And you don't have to worry about when it rains, I don't have my movies.
Right. The
You don't have
thunderstorm
to-
just wipes out that
That's
cable.
right. You don't have to worry about, honey, I've got another bill from the cable company and they went up another
Oh.
$50.
Constantly. All right, that's good advice. I'm going to look into that. I just think that's a pretty helpful comment. But you've been helpful throughout this entire show today, Stan. Thank you so much for giving us some time
my
here
pleasure.
here at Columbus State University. We're very happy that you stopped by and informed us of this kind of information that we all need to know. This is extremely important. I want to thank you for coming, and we want to invite our viewers to continue to watch Columbus State Television, and this is the kind of programming we want to bring to you, educational, informative, and fun as well. And so thank you for watching, and Stan, enjoy the rest of your tour here at Columbus State University. We'll see you next time right here on Columbus State Television.